That was the ethereal sound of Santoor, a musical instrument embodying the spirit of Kashmir Valley in India. Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Mood India, a look at performing arts from the Indian subcontinent. I am Vrunda Bhandarkar. This will be the second of two segments on Santoor, played by Madan Oak. Today, he is going to be accompanied on Tabla by Abhinay Padhye. Madan Oak was born and brought up in India. He grew up singing and playing tabla. At the age of 19, after listening to a live music concert by the Santoor maestro Shivkumar Sharma, he decided to focus on Santoor. Madan built his own Santoor and has been with it for last 20 years. Abhinay Padhye is originally from Mumbai, India. He started learning tabla with Sri Nana Mure and then from Pandit Bhai Gaitonde. After coming to US, he continued his training under Pandit Swapan Chaudhary at the Ali Akbar College of Music in San Rafael. He lives in the Bay Area and has been training a number of aspiring tabla players for last 6 years. In his day job, he is a computer network engineer. In the previous segment, we learned that Santoor is an acoustic instrument. It is made from maple and walnut wood, and it is in the shape of a trapezoid box. The bridges are made of wood, mostly local varieties, and painted dark ebony. Madan's Santoor here has total of 91 strings and 31 bridges, 27 bridges with 3 strings each, 3 bass note bridges with 2 coiled strings each, and a bridge with drone strings called chikari, which are periodically used to provide tonic bass. The strings are tied on nails on the left side and are stretched over the soundboard on the top of the bridges to the right side in a crisscross manner. On the right are the tuning pegs. We also learned that Santoor is a percussion instrument. It is not plucked, it is not strummed, it is hammered with 2 strikers or mallets made of walnut wood. They are used to lightly strike or glide on the strings. Sometimes left hand is used to dampen the strings. We also looked at the history of this instrument as it evolved from its folk origins to its present day adaptation as a classical music instrument. Now that we have been introduced to this instrument, let us move on. Madan, can you describe how you render Indian classical music on Santoor?
Santoor is a folk instrument basically. It was adopted to classical music later on. So naturally there were a lot of variations in what a traditional Indian classical music instrument is as compared to a folk instrument and a traditional sitar or a sarod or some instrument like that. So basically there are 2 different aspects of Indian classical music we take as one is the swara sadhana or practicing the notes as such or vocalizing the notes or expression of finding different notes and the combinations of notes that are part of the raga. That's one part of it, which includes things like alap or rendering of the notes. And the other one is the aroha avroha, which means ascending and descending of the notes. And the third one will be something called as sustain. And the last one will be the ghasit as such. When we say alap, alap is nothing else but an expression that you are trying to do from using the notes that are part of the raga. Raga, is like a basic scale. You use the basic notes of the scale and you improvise on those notes. I would like to show you some alap, so to say, which is rendering of the notes. There is no rhythm in this. This is a very slow movement and there is no rhythm as such. So this is typically how a musical concert starts. It's with alap. So we are trying to find this combination of group of notes that are part of this rag, which is Mishra Pahadi, which is I am going to play right now. So this is how it is that you go on experimenting with the different notes in the rag.
So this is playing with melody without any rhythm.
This is setting the base for the improvisations that you're going to follow later on. And then the next part is the Aroha and Avroha.
Yes.
So let me show you Aroha and Avroha. Typically when you ascend in a scale and descend, this is how you do that. Aroha means ascending, Avroha means descending. That was ascending and descending, and you can have different combinations of the left and the right strokes, which we have covered last time, how we developed that particular art of playing those patterns as such.
Does the Aroha and Avroha define the nature of the raga?
Yeah, every raga has a set rules for Aroha and a set rules for Avroha, so we follow those and play those. Now in this particular raga, Aroha and Avroha for the Pahadi. And if there is a Mishra Rag you are playing, then of course the other notes will come. For example,
what is a Mishra Rag?
Mishra Rag is something what we call as a dhun, or you go besides the design rules of the scale of the rag, and you add some extra notes just for the sake of improvisation. There are specific ragas that we have used and we use in Indian classical music, which are called Mishra ragas. So Mishra Pahadi will be a Mishra, or the group of notes that I will add to the Pahadi rag, so it will be called Mishra Pahadi as such.
Now how do you add rhythm to this?
That is what we call as Swara Kal, means the practicing of the string, the playing of the notes along with the rhythm as such, for which we also follow the same kind of patterns that we discussed in the last time. We make groups of notes and we play them using the left and the right hand combinations. That you can develop, and you can improvise the Kal practice or the Sura Kal practice as such.
Now how do you structure a performance of or rendition of a raga in a performance? Is there a progression to the performance?
Typically, as I said, the alap is the beginning of any musical performance as such. So we will start with the alap, which will be something like what I presented earlier, which will be followed by jod. A jod is just a following of a beat. There is no rhythmic cycle as such. It's just a beat that we follow, and you play the jod.
Where do you keep the beat? On the chikari notes, or?
Yeah, you typically use the chikari for the reference as such all the time. So let me show you the jod as such.
So the tabla doesn't play
There
with
is
it.
no tabla accompaniment right now. We will explore the rag based on this kind of combinations as such. And then the third part is the jhala, which is a faster tempo basically of the jod as such. So this will be the jhala part of it, and after that is what we call as the gut. That's when the tabla comes into picture, and that's when the real accompaniment starts, and that's where the question answer kind of session starts after that.
Does that also follow different tempos?
There are we typically start with a lower speed rhythmic cycles and lower speed compositions as such, and then we tend to increase the speed as we go further into the concert as such.
Now, there are lots of santoor-like instruments around the world, and can you tell us something about them?
Well, santoor is originally an Indian classical music instrument, as you know. This was part of the folk music that was being played in India, and as the time passed, a lot of people and basically the Sufis or the priests and the pilgrims from India, as they were traveling all over the world, they started taking the instrument all over the world with them, and that's how you see different types of similarities between santoor and some other instruments around the world. You can find this instrument in different forms in countries like Afghanistan. You can go to Iran, Iraq, with different names, of course, and even Europe, America, and even Far East Asia as well.
Do they differ in sophistication? Are they as sophisticated as this, or they are simpler?
The basic theme is the same. The sound box is always the same. The difference is typically in the number of notes that you play, the number of strings that you have on the bridges, that will differ. But basically the idea is just a sound box, strings, and different types of strings also they will use, but they will have tuning pegs, the nails, everything is almost the similar thing. We can talk about the instruments that we have all over the world. In America, we have an instrument called dulcimer, hammered dulcimer, that belongs to the santoor category, and it has roots of the instrument in santoor. This is the American version of the santoor. It is very versatile instrument and it is very easy to play. It can have 3 notes like we have on santoor per bridge, and it supports 3 octaves.
So it's as sophisticated as santoor then?
Yeah, the ranges are typically the same as what santoor is. Some instruments have more octaves in them, like the Chinese instrument Yangqin has 5 octaves in it. There are some instruments.
It should be bigger too if it is
bigger.
5 octaves.
It has 175 strings in it, so it's a lot bigger instrument as such.
Now, is dulcimer used in classical music or is it a folk music?
Hammered dulcimer is used for all kinds of instruments. I mean, compositions as such. You can play pop music, you can play light music as such along with it. And if you go to Europe, there are countries like Hungary and Romania where this instrument comes in a form and different form, and the name of the instrument is called cymbalom. It is basically used for folk, classical, contemporary music. It has very wide tone and a big volume as such. It is played with the hammers just like we have, but sometimes they have felt or a wool on the hammer itself, so that when you are playing, it dampens the sound of it, and it can create a different tonal quality basically.
It won't be as light as this.
It will be. It is almost light. It's nothing heavy as such, but it is. It has got wool padded on it, and it also has other features of instrument like piano, where we have dampers. Those exist on cymbalom. That's the only instrument which carries those dampers. None of the other santoor variety instruments have the dampers. So it's much more closer to piano in true sense that way.
So
It's a very heavy instrument actually, and it has steel wound strings and it's definitely not a portable instrument. And Hungarian cymbalom has a very special tone. You can adjust the length of the hammers for the style you are playing. If you go to Greece, there is another instrument called Santoori. It is, the name is also almost similar. This is also another version of dulcimer. You can have complete range of major and minor notes, and it's fully chromatic, just like a piano. It is a big instrument. It's almost 1 meter wide in the length, and it's almost about half a meter on the top.
So how do they get that variety of notes?
Well, they have different sets of bridges on it, so you have the notes all over the place, and it's very it's a different style of playing, of course.
You mentioned about China. The Chinese instrument, is that also part of the classical music tradition of China?
They have certain forms of classical music which they play on that instrument. It is a popular folk instrument also as such, and it is a very old instrument. It dates back to the Ming Dynasty in the years of I think 1384 to 1644, something like that. So it's a very old instrument.
So it's part
from
of the
China.
classical
Yeah,
instrument.
it's part of their tradition and traditional classical music as such.
Let us come further south from China to Kashmir and to Santoor in the Kashmir Valley. It looks like Santoor has its roots in folk music, and even to this day, when there is a Santoor recital, I've heard Shiv Kumarji playing folk tunes. Can you play for us one and
sure.
take us to the beautiful Kashmir Valley?
Okay.
joining us in the appreciation of Indian music. Hope you'll join us for the next episode. For all of us here at Mood India, goodbye.